What's up, Summoners? King Blair here. Today we're going to be talking about the current banner heroes, Roy Mustang on the Covenant side, and the new ML hero, Commander Pavel, on the ML side, and whether or not you should pull for them. So if you like the video, make sure you like, subscribe, and Discord server, link to the description. But without further ado, let's jump right into it. As always, the video will be split up into different sections, so you can go to see for that section. First, we're going to do a quick summary on what's coming next from both the Covenant and the Mystic Summon side. Then we're going to be going a little bit more into detail into each of the heroes' kits with Roy Mustang and with Commander Pavel. And ultimately, for Commander Pavel in specific, I did actually end up pulling him, and I used the new system that they did where you can quickly 6-star a hero. So I could actually get to try him out, and it was pretty fun, right? I ended up using 50 flags that I had saved up for a while because I actually really liked them, right? So I almost exclusively played in Arena, just testing out different teams, and it was a lot of fun. Hopefully, I'll be able to record those clips again tomorrow. I forgot to record, even though there was a lot of really cool clips with Commander Pavel, but I'll make sure to do that tomorrow. As far as Roy, I don't have a build for him, but kind of reading off the kit and kind of what I've been seeing here and there. But with that, let's actually jump into the actual meat and potatoes of the video. So, first, what's coming next for each of the sides? As far as the Covenant side, this is going to be the second part of the Full Metal Alchemist collab, right? So Mustang and Edward. Edward did actually get buffed from last week. Biggest thing is that he got a buff on the S2. And the second biggest thing is that he actually got a way to make sure that debuffs do not stick onto him, right? That one is probably going to be the bigger one, right? Because it was kind of annoying where he would get one debuff on him from like AOL or Commander Lilius, and then he'd get another one that would CC him, and then he just wouldn't be able to do his job, right? Because it would hit, stun, equivalent exchange, stun, right? Or something that manner, or you would just get stacked so many debuffs you never get to take turns. Well, they kind of made it so you could basically be able to slowly cleanse every time you got hit, which is super duper nice. Although he only will do the counterattack one time, right? He'll only counter once, but he will be able to cleanse every time he's hit, which helped a lot. And the damage, of course, very, very nice. And he also got a nice little CR push on the S2, making a pretty decent counter to control Cleave, although Cleave got a very nice little part with him. But now, as far as other heroes, we did get the Epic 7 call out that there's going to be a ton of heroes coming your way, right? We know that they're one of the villains from the storyline, which I still need to do, so I can actually make lore content, because it's been a while since I've actually done the story. There's quite a few other ones that I remember. Oh, like that girl with the summer sword, right? There's the summer sword girl, right? There's a lot that are actually coming on the Covenant side. But again, Roy's going to be a limited hero. Ideally, you want to pull for limited heroes, at least one copy, because they're unlikely to come back. There's also a chance that we'll get a rerun for Rimuru, which we haven't gotten in a long time, and for Milim, although that's not confirmed, but it is something that is likely going to be hopefully within the next 2 months, since they've never gotten a rerun. Right, but as far as Roy Mustang, between him and Edward, I would personally tell you to go with Edward. He definitely is going to be a better option. Although Roy, as far as to what he does in particular, is going to be a pretty decent single target damage dealer with kind of a T-certain passive. Although there's a lot of things that can counter him, especially if he gets outcycled. But, you know, can definitely work out. Between the two, Edward definitely has a better niche, and I definitely do see him a lot more in RTA. I have not seen Mustang a single time, even though it's his release day, and usually people will tend to rush. I wonder if he's getting the spotlight taken by Commander Pavel, but I do see he has some fun potential. I just don't know how viable he'll actually is going to be, although he does have pretty good damage. But again, ideally, for these limiteds, you want to try to pull both, because again, they're not going to come back for a long time. And if people complain enough, which he does have pretty decently low ratings, they actually might buff him as well. But as far as the Mystic side, Commander Pavel, he's definitely taking the spotlight for all the videos, all the support, all the testing. This guy probably got everyone to put their resources on him, because I've been seeing him a lot, as well as me getting to use him myself. And I can tell you guys, this is going to be another Cleave unit, very similar to something like Closer Charles. Why do I say that? He's another Cleave, or not Closer Charles, because he didn't actually set up, but closer to like things like Ida, right? Where he's a unit that he's going to get stronger with time as different Cleave units get released that can set him up better, as well as he has very unique playstyles, right? There are some really cool teams people are trying out with ML Pavel, and it really shows that he's an incredibly strong aggro slash cleave unit, although he definitely has his counters, right? But with the right team, with the right setup, as a late pick, it is very, very hard to defend against him, right? Because it's a lot of damage coming your way, and his S3 does ignore Aureus, and often is going to end up just kind of clapping your team. But overall, coming in the future, we do know that Emil Ray is going to be coming. We also do know that Emil Elena is going to be coming. If you like those heroes thematically, we have no idea how their kids are going to be. But overall, for Pavel, should you pull for him? If you're not a cleaver or an aggro player, I actually would suggest against it. He has very high gear requirement, and the units that need to set him up also have very high gear requirements, one of them being Faithless Lytica. But with that, let's actually jump into their kits and kind of talk about it more in detail. But again, pretty cool hero. I still am pulling for Roy. Man, it's gonna take me some time. I just don't want to refresh the shop, although I really, really do need to, because I need to get more Mystics again for the future MOs, for Elena and for Ray that are going to be coming, and the villain too. But as far as Roy, as far as the stat line, he's gonna have very, very little HP, very common amongst mages, really solid defense, and really, really, really high attack. No help on the crit rate on his kit, and he is going to be someone that needs to have 100% crit to be able to do damage, right? It's typically going to be pretty hard to build. Again, those type of heroes are usually pretty hard, and he gets more attack off of his passive. Big thing, most likely going to be either a destruction set with a crit rate neck, or a lifesteal set. Most likely lifesteal set if you're trying to go for like a more of a bruiser sustain. But we're going straight like you're going in. Maybe crit damage set, but it's going to be pretty hard. Honestly, it just seems like lifesteal is kind of almost a must, but we'll get into that when we actually look at his kit. But as far as that, okay speed, solid defense, terrible HP, and solid attack. Not the greatest, right? But now let's actually look at his kit and what he actually does. So the first thing, you're going to see the passive in a second and his empowered one. But let's get a little bit of a big one. Essentially, when you have the passive, you have an enhanced S1. So the first one is going to be attacks with flames and increases cover rate as a caster by 15%, right? Pretty basic. When it's a caster's turn, if you have Flame Alchemist, right, which you do start with that buff, you activate Heat Wave instead, so it's a stronger attack. And instead of only getting 15% Camarines, you are going to be getting a nice 30% Camarines, as well as penetrating the target's defense by 50%. And this won't trigger off of a dual attack, so you'll only do the 15% one if you do it with something like a Ross S2, right? You're not going to be doing the big one, you're going to be doing the small one, right? But again, 30% CR push on your turn. If you're able to do that, you're able to cycle pretty fast, right? So you're going to be able to get that nice cycling. You're going to have that nice little fire. You're going to do 50% defense spend. It's actually really solid damage when you actually have the buff. And you do get a really good cycling, right? 30% is nothing to laugh at. 15%, if you go with a dual attack, that's still going to make a pretty big difference, right? But now let's actually get to the S2, which is going to be that Flame Alchemist symbol you see above his head. Essentially, you start the fight, you have 40 guaranteed period, and you have the passive, right? And the Fighting Spirit you're going to need for your S3. So his S3 is not cooldown based, is going to be off of this Fighting Spirit. And you are going to be needing to use your S2 twice before you're actually able to reach your S3, right? That's kind of how it's going to work. You need to S1 twice before. So if you do something with the Ross S2 and then his own S1 on his turn, by the time his next turn rolls around, he'll be able to do his S3, right? A little bit on the slower side, but has some potential. And the other part is going to be the T-turn passive, where he can't exceed 51%, right, after you max it out, right? So essentially, if no Aureus, after 50, he'll take 51%. He can survive any hit one time, and then the second time around, he's going to die, unless you have an Aureus, which you can extend for 3 hits. And if you have an Aureus and Chatty, you could potentially get in 4 hits guaranteed to survive, right? And that's going to be his best artifact as a mage. It's most likely going to be Chatty, because when he drops below that 50% threshold, he's going to be triggering a barrier based on his attack. And that barrier is going to last for 2 turns. It's going to keep him alive for a little longer. And if you have Lifesteal set, it'll let you actually cheat a couple more turns if you're going against a slower team, right? So pretty fun, pretty interesting, right? T-turn passive with a mage that has Chatty. Kind of why Lifesteal is so good on him is because he's able to use that. And then, of course, we have the S3, which is going to be an AoE attack that before he does it, he gets a nice attack buff. And it's an AoE attack that does more damage as there's fewer enemies. And I didn't mention, but the Flame Alchemist does give an increased hit chance, so he's able to hit better and attack, so you're doing more damage as well. Forgot to mention that. So yeah, overall, this S3 actually does really solid damage as well. But as well as it should, right? Because it takes you a pretty long time to actually get to it. Needing 2 S1s it's gonna be a couple turns, right? So definitely gonna need something that can dual attack, that can bring you in for dual attacks, or that can cycle you, so you can do your big S3 big damage move. Although again, this one is going to be pretty nice, right? I mean, it's nice and basic, but if we see here, the S3 is going to take up 80 fighting spirit, and you only get 20 from your S1. So again, yes, it does take some time to cycle, and it functionally gives you a 4-turn cooldown, except not, because if you're stunned, it's going to take you longer, or if you dual attack, it's going to be quicker, right? So overall, how do you build this guy? What's he used for? What can he be useful for? So the big thing is going to be this passive is going to go away if anyone but sneezes on him. If it's water hero, which again, it's kind of like funny because it's part of the anime. But again, kind of sucks if you're going against any water heroes, and there are a lot of water heroes that are meta right now. You can think about things like Dian, Chu, Amelia, right? That's just to name a few, right? Those are honestly the big ones. So if they just kind of sneeze on you, you're going to be taking that. Of course, there's Ran, but you shouldn't be taking him to cleave in the first place. But as far as kind of build, it's likely going to be lifesteal if you want him to be on the board for longer, which honestly you will likely want. And with Chatty, why? Because without it, if you don't have lifesteal, he literally will die in 2 to 3 hits. He has no self-sustain. He is going to die. You're not going to be getting to his S3, right? It's a pretty slow character, so lifesteal Chatty, probably your way to go. As far as you can use him, he looks like he could be pretty fun for Guild Wars, right? Where you could control the situation, where you know they can't bring something like a water hero. You can just kind of bring him in and do really strong S1 damage to bulk your teams. Especially if you know that they're slower, bulkier teams, they're not going to be able to be cycling you. You're going to be able to be doing some damage and going to be able to do that. In Arena, again, there's a lot of really fun teams. Grass Angel always putting some really, really cool showcases. As far as RTA, kind of hard for me to see him higher up. Again, in lower champion and challenger, you can honestly use whatever you want and you'll have so much success with it because people don't have all the answers to it, right? Higher up, like high champion, early emperor, legend, people pretty much tend to have all the answers. And there are a lot of things that counter him. Water units being one, and Cleave being really strong kind of just completely dominates him. So more of like a spice fun pick. I really don't see him doing anything outside of in RTA, honestly. And I haven't seen him, right? I've played a lot today. Probably like 30 games just today. I tend to do that before every time I decay. I play like a bunch of games. But I haven't seen him a single game, right? Which is very different to the next hero. But overall, should you pull for him? He is limited. He looks pretty fun. He definitely is slower. PvE potentially, right? Assuming there's no water heroes, he does really good single target damage, and he doesn't have debuffs, right? So definitely probably can take him for raid. Although honestly, there's not much PvE content that's particularly challenging that there aren't already a bunch of heroes for, which is why I typically don't recommend for PvE. But again, limited collab. Is he the best hero out there? Honestly, he's pretty okay, right? There's nothing like crazy about him. Again, take this with a grain of salt, but it's just a fun little collab hero. If you really don't have resources, again, I still think that Edward has much higher potential, and he's kind of more of the fun one. Edward's definitely going to be the more meta one that's going to be there for a lot longer, right? And it's going to have a much more higher ceiling and potential to become a good unit in the future. But as far as the new ML hero, Commander Pavel, man, this guy slaps. Honestly, he really made Arena fun for me for like 2 to 3 days. I'm probably gonna go back after this video and use the flags that I just got again for him. But Emma Pavel is going to be an aggro and cleave unit. If you don't play aggro, if you don't have any speed gear, you're not gonna be able to play Pavel, right? It's same thing as Green Pavel. If you don't have the speed gear, you're not gonna be able to play him, right? Which sucks for a majority of the players because he does have an amazing design and he has one of my favorite S3s in the game. But you are going to need aggro and you are going to need to have him, and you're going to have good setup heroes for him. The best ones right now, from what I've seen, is honestly going to be Faithless Lidica and Ida, right? Those two are going to be like bread and butter for him. Although I have seen some people go more RNG route with Rand, with RNO, which is a thing, and I did lose to it, which still makes me a little bit sad because they got the RNO, but it's going to be pretty good. But before I talk about that, let me actually get to the skill set and the stats. So as far as stats, really high attack, pretty low HP. Speed really doesn't matter that much. Defense, pretty low, pretty mid, right? It's pretty standard amongst rangers, and he does have some help with the crit rate. But high attack, decent crit rate, low HP, low defense, pretty low speed, I would say so. Which again, it is going to be common amongst rangers, right? All rangers kind of share the similar stat line. As far as Imprint, he's going to get more attack, so he's able to do more damage, and you are going to need attack to be able to actually meet certain thresholds for him to do the big damage that he's actually capable of doing. But now let's actually take a look at his skills. So starting with the S1, it's going to be pretty simple. Honestly, you rarely will get to see him do this S1. The decrease attack, honestly, it's just like icing on the cake. If you're getting to the S1s, you probably already won the game, or you're close to winning the game, or you're about to lose the game and he's going to clutch it for you. But this skill actually kind of slaps, right? I have it with the new thing that lets you try out the heroes that you can max them out, but missing 3 Mola. And missing those last 3 Mola Gora, this skill does a lot of damage, right? I was pretty surprised how much damage this one does. It's very basic, but again, that's just like the side thing of what he does. The big thing is going to be this S2, which is pretty wordy, but it's kind of his bread and butter of what he's trying to do. And the big thing of why he's going to be such a good component to a lot of cleaves and open up a lot more opportunities. So at the start of the fight, you gain 60 fighting spirit. Again, another fighting spirit hero, which does make me feel like Smage is going to release an anti-fighting spirit hero in the near future, similar to the Lion. But after an ally, except for the caster, makes a critical hit, you gain 20 fighting spirit. And when you're full, you will trigger this nice big S3. But you cannot get focus off of counter attacks or extra attacks, right? Which is important, or dual attacks, right? It's important to note that it has to be actually taking the turn and critting on that turn for him to gain that focus. But essentially, after 2 crits, he will do this big AoE attack. Let me see if I can get it for you guys. Oh, he can't give it to himself. Maybe I'll do a quick arena match if there's a quick one that I see that is just like a quick boom, 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 so I can show you guys what he can actually do. And the actual showcase will be tomorrow, where I actually go more in detail into it. But this too is a big AoE attack, does a lot of damage. He increases an attack before it, very similar to the regular Pavel. Increases attack, does big AoE attack, and gives himself 50% combo readiness. This actually lets him be decently slow. So what I mentioned, the speed doesn't matter that much. Honestly, 160, 150 speed is more than enough for him. The rest is going to go into the damage stats, right? Because at that point, you're just able to come in, cut, do a bunch of damage, and get to your S3. And your S3 is going to be a single target damage skill that ignores damage sharing effects like Aureus, right? Like Peyra S3, you can ignore FCC Aureus, right? Ross Aureus, and you're going to be able to penetrate the defense up to 70% depending on the difference of your attack, right? And this difference is actually pretty big, right? Like the range, I need to actually go into the calculator, but you actually need to have a pretty big range. Even with attack buff, there's a lot of times I actually don't get the maximum difference. But against a healer, you always get it. And this skill, I haven't seen it go over 20,000 in damage, right? I have never seen anyone be able to do more than 20,000 damage with the skill. So it's pretty standard to do 18, 19, 20,000 if it's a squish your target, or if there's no like damage ignoring effects, or if you have a really good Pavel. The average Pavel around 18 to 20k against when you have the full threshold, right? That's the big thing. You have to have the full threshold to be able to do that penetration. But again, really well built Pavels can go a little bit higher to 22, 23k, right? Which is honestly more than enough a lot of the times, especially when you're following up with a massive AoE that's doing 6 to 10k, right? This skill does a lot. It does so much. It's like a mini Pavel, right? Instead of being super fast, he's slow. I love the design that they do on like the MLs and the grass ones, where like their kits are kind of like reverses of each other, where Pavel wants to go first and set up for his team. He kind of wants to get set up by someone else, and then he comes in. And again, this S3, honestly, to me, is just one of the best S3s in the game. This S3 is so sick, dude. When he just looks at you with the gun, and he just, it's such a cool S3 animation. But overall, how should you build him? The most standard one I've seen is going to be crit damage set, because that critical hit damage set is going to be the best stats for damage dealers. It's after the buff, it is going to be the best one. It just gives you the most bang for your buck, the most stats. Typically 5,000 attack, 300 C damage, about 150 to 170 speed, depending what your setup is looking like. If there's any self-CR pushing, and depending what you're trying to cut, right? But that's pretty standard. Some people will go higher, some people will be a little bit lower. But overall, really, 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 really solid cleave unit. So with that, let me show you guys my personal ML Pavel. And you guys are going to laugh because my gear, I don't farm much outside of Wyvern. I'm starting to farm Banshee, but for now, this is the build I went with. I know. Yes, it is a speed set with crit, right? Ideally with pen set, you can get more attack. I do not have the best crit on my gear, and I don't have any crit damage gear right now, so that's what I'm farming for. So this is going to be my belt. I like the symbol because I only use him for arena. A lot of people in RTA will use Guiding Light, but overall it does really solid damage. Even with this, it's just So fun to actually take him out and just do a bunch of damage with him. As far as to how people are actually using him RTA, I can show you guys. I don't cleave in RTA, but he definitely does have a lot of potential. I've seen him a lot. So this one was regular Pavel. Let's see. Did he use Emma Pavel? He used Emma Pavel. He just didn't have damage, right? He didn't have damage to get past the Belian and the Ross. With just Emma Pavel, kind of rough, right? He put too many supports, too many eggs in his basket. This one was one I actually lost. This was the Arnell rain I told you guys about. He S2'd, S3'd, Arnell hit me, and it was over from there. Destina died to Demo Pavel. I probably could have drafted a little bit better, but again, pretty solid, right? He got the first pick with a Ravi. I got caught slacking and got beat that way. Let's see if we can find another one for you guys. A lot of people are using him. This one I actually won. Again, another case of not enough damage. He could not get past my Senya. It happens, right? He couldn't get rid of the Senya. Let's see. Here's a couple of my losses. There was a lot more earlier on. I don't know what I am going to be beating. Yeah, like this one, I just banned it out. It was so scary. Like at that point, it just needed to be banned out. If he had a better cleave setup at the beginning, it actually would have been much, much scarier. Or if he banned the Violet, he actually might have won. If he banned the Violet, he most likely would have won. I do not know why he didn't ban the Violet. But again, overall, you can see a bunch of people are using him right now, and it does feel pretty hard to go against him. Whenever someone uses him well, you're like, wow, that's a really cool team. Some Closer Charles, some Operator Sigrid. There's just a lot of really cool cleaves that he opens up that people get to use. Let me see if there's a quick arena one I can show you guys. And I've just been going through any ones that looks like I can cleave it. So this one, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I am definitely cleaving this. So this one, hopefully, we'll show you guys pretty quickly. I re-geared my units for just Arena for the video tomorrow, which kind of hurt my RTA a little bit. Because my C Lilius is currently not geared. And I didn't want to break too many units, so the gear on these Arena units is actually not great. And I'll show all the gear tomorrow. But this is just to show you guys one of the better combinations that Emma Pavel does actually have, which is going to be Ida. Because again, 2 crits, right? I haven't done anything. This is my second crit, right? I go with my second crit. And I go... And now, because I can ignore Aureus, we go right here. And even with Proof of Valor, that's really good damage. Proof of Valor, ignored Aureus, right? The damage... Oh, this might not be good. Do I need to... Yeah. I think if I get rid of her, it's pretty much over. So, of course, let's see how much Watch Assured does comparison to ML Pavel. Oh. Oh. To be fair, though, for ML Pavel, he does do an AoE, right? So I know that may not look as good, but you do have to remember that it does do a little bit more than what meets the eye. All right, we're actually gonna do the S2 and then try to stun her. Man, this arena, I'm probably gonna lose this arena just because I did not expect that one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we can actually stun. Should still be winnable, right? It's just gonna be a little bit more annoying. No, my Pavel went down. I don't know how my oh, the FCC, I forgot. The FCC S3 got rid of the Paris. Oh boy. It's gonna be a little bit tight. Ida missed way too many stunts this one, unfortunately. So unfortunately we lost that one. That was I did not think that Landy was gonna live all that damage. I probably should have S3'd something else with him. We're gonna do it again. I know this video is gonna be 25 minutes because I want to do it again, but I think I can do the right thing this time. And the right thing is to do the S3 on the Dilovit and just have Watcher Shuri kill the Landy. I should have been paying more attention to what artifacts they were using. Me not paying attention to the artifacts actually kind of messed me up there. Because I would have seen that the Landy's proof and that I'm not going to be killing that. And this is the reason why I have a 70% win rate right now in Arena, is because I'm doing stuff like this. Alright, let's see if he gets it more than once. And we'll have the Watcher Shuri be the one that kills the Landy, not the other way around. But yeah, look at all that. Oh, man, it's so satisfying. And you get rid of you. But again, my Pavel is not the best one. Other ML Pavels would have probably been able to kill in that situation. And again, you have to remember that the attack difference, as I told you, it's actually a pretty big attack difference. But that's why we bring Watcher Shuri. That would have been the right way to have done this fight, not what I showed you guys the first time. Unfortunately. But that's all I got for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I imagine you guys know how this ends, right? It's going to end with me winning. But that's going to be all I got for you guys today. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Peace.